Okay, so as we all know, the A1 Mark II is out. And I'm not really surprised with the conversation that is happening around that camera. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think it's a great camera, but it's not for me. It is not a camera that I'm going to spend $6,000 on because, one, I'm not a photographer. But if you are a photographer, I'm pretty sure you're ecstatic right now, right? But again, the consensus around that camera and the debate is it worth the upgrade if you already have an A1? And from everything I see, not really. You're getting the same image and you're getting the same video specs, basically. No internal RAW. You know, Canon and a few other manufacturers are doing internal RAW recording, and this camera's still not doing that. Now, I know this is probably a photo-focused camera, photography-focused camera, but still, you have Canon already doing it, and Sony, you offer zero cameras that can record internal RAW. It's all HDMI or SDI, whatever, I don't know. But anyways, so just give you a little rundown. I'm not going to go through all the specs, but to make it super short, they've basically put every single thing that all of these other cameras can do. They put it all into one camera, which makes the A1 Mark II. And they've slightly improved the IBIS, right? And it's not really like the actual IBIS. Now, I know they're saying 8 stops of stability, which it still doesn't look that good. But the digital is actually better. But again, to me, that's not that big of a deal. But anyways, I foreseen all this. That's why I made my video last week about in 2025, I'm not going to be buying a new camera. And this kind of just like solidified it for me. Yeah, I saw this with the A7S III. They've taken the A7S III internals and just rehoused it about 3 different times. You have the A7S III came out first. The FX3 came out, and then we had the ZVE lineup full frame came out, which is basically, again, a rehoused A7S III. And then you had the A7C Mark II come out, which is, again, a rehoused A7S III. So I saw that, and I'm just like, yeah, I think we're getting close to innovation slowing down in the camera industry. I don't think we're quite there yet. There's still room for growth when it comes to innovation in the camera industry. We're not right there with the audio industry, like I said last week. We're not quite there yet with the microphones, but we're getting close. Now, okay, let's talk about innovation. There's still, again, like I just said, there's room for growth. Especially, clearly we realize that resolution is going to continue to get better. I feel like frame rates will continue to get better. Right now, I think we are at 30 frames per second at 8K. At some point, we all know all this stuff is going to trickle down into the cheaper cameras. 60 frames per second will be a standard at some point. 120 frames per second will be on that higher end level when it comes to video. So we know that upgrade path is there. That's obvious. But I feel like one that has kind of been overlooked a lot, right, and not really talked about damn near at all, is the fact that the audio has pretty much stayed the same and the preamps have pretty much stayed the same in these cameras. That is where I feel like the biggest room for growth is. Better preamps and eventually getting 32-bit float with these cameras. Now, saying all that, I feel like does not make something like the Rode Wireless Pro, something like the DJI Mic 2s obsolete. It doesn't make the MixPre 3.2 and all of its competitors obsolete. Why? Because there's only so many inputs you can put on a camera without having it being this big hulky machine that's going to cost you $20,000. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, here's the thing. Audio really should be portable. You know what I mean? You can't be tied down to a cord on a camera. The camera needs to be free moving. So I don't think just by adding all that stuff, you're going to kill out an industry of audio gear. That's just not going to happen. But that's where I would like to see the next steps for cameras to be. I feel like again, audio has kind of been decent and it's been acceptable, right? But it doesn't really compete with external recorders like a Mixpre 3.2 and its competitors like the Zooms and the Tascams and all of those other and even higher end audio recorders. This camera can't compete with that. And the fact that, like I just said, the wireless Pro has 32-bit float. There's no reason why these cameras shouldn't have 32-bit float going forward. Again, I think that is a area that's been neglected for quite a while in cameras, and I'm hoping that at some point that we will get better preamps in 32-bit float. So I know some people are like, well, what about ND filters, internal? We've done that before. Do you guys remember the G7X too? It had internal NDs. You remember some of the Sony RX100s? Now, not the last one, but some before that had internal NDs. They've taken them out, but it used to exist. So, like, it's not impressive to me for Sony or Canon or Nikon or Panasonic or for anyone to put internal NDs into a camera because you've done it on such a cheaper scale at the $800 to $900 scale. You've done that already. So that's not really impressive to me. But anyway, that's my thoughts. I'm not really surprised with the A1. Great camera. Again, not a camera for me. I am more on the lines of the cinema lineup now. My next purchase would probably be something along an FX3 Mark II, if it ever happens, or eventually jumping up to the FX6. I think, honestly, I'm leaning towards the FX6. And again, hopefully they start putting 32-bit float and better preamps into these cameras. Okay, that's it for me. Hope you guys have a good day. See you in the next video. Peace.